Welcome to Rolf Hitzer, behind the for sale sign. I'm going to talk today about what happens when a home buyer fails to close on a home that they had agreed to purchase with a legal contract in real estate. So this is a true story. This just happened earlier this year, not in Winnipeg. It happened actually in a major city where house values are much higher than our average sale price of a house. And in this scenario, the seller accepted an offer for $1.25 million, or $1,250,000. Home was sold with an August possession. Whoa, took a little slipsy slidey there on the snow, but with a possession date of August. And the buyer didn't close leading up to possession date, and the transaction was breached by the buyer to the seller. So the property was relisted now that the sellers knew their house wasn't sold and had made other plans to purchase because of the contract. And the property went into the market this fall, obviously with an August possession date. And the fall market typically in most major cities is a little slower than the spring market. And now the same property sold for $965,000. Quite a big difference. So the seller, with their legal counsel giving them the best advice for the variance from offer number one to offer number two, or buyer number one to buyer number two, the seller sued buyer number one and went to court. And rightfully so, the judge ruled that the contract to purchase the home was breached by buyer number one to the seller. The judge awarded the sellers $287,500 for the price difference from buyer number one's offer to buyer number two's offer. The judge also awarded $31,906 for the carrying costs. In other words, seller sold their house, buyer didn't close on a legal document, a legal contract, and now the sellers had made a purchase with the belief that their house was sold, and now had to pay extra added cost to maintain an empty home while back on the market. Yes, it eventually sold, but somewhere in the future was possession date. So the judge awarded just shy of $32,000 for closing costs. And then, got to give it to the judge, also awarded the sellers versus the buyer number one $47,107 for additional delays and probably some, I'm assuming some legal costs in there. So, wow, that is an awful lot of money. And the buyer, I don't know why they didn't close. But breaking a home purchase in any city in North America can prove to be very costly depending on the timing of the real estate market, the changing winds of the real estate market. And if property values go down, or the market stalls a little bit or pauses a bit or trends downwards versus the first offer being accepted, these things can happen, and what a price to pay. Before you sign any offer to purchase for a house, are you sure? You have to be sure that you're going to proceed with that legal document. As you heard this story just now, the price could be quite high. I've had this happen in my personal career, a long time ago actually, and the buyer called me and said, my wife and I, our relationship just broke down, and she's leaving me, and we bought this house together. I don't know if I can afford the house on my own. What do we do now? And my advice at the time to the buyer was, based on the story you just heard, I said, you know what, take possession of your house, and then let's sell it again. It'll be cheaper to do that than breach the contract. So I'm going to harken back to the story I just told, that if the buyers, for whatever reason, didn't proceed with their purchase, if they only took possession and sold the house, they may have saved an additional, let's say it sold for the same price, they would have saved, let me do the math, $31,906 plus $47,107. That's just shy of $100,000 that they would have saved. Not including the angst, the stress, and the heartache that goes through a lawsuit and going to a court with lawyers and living that life. So when you purchase a home, understand it is a legal document. It is a legal obligation to proceed with the purchase. If things change in your life, take possession and just resell the property. Here's the good news, or good news story for my personal experience with the home buyer that had a relationship breakdown. He took possession, ended up renting a room out to someone he knew, and was nice enough to call me and say, you know what, things worked out. I got a roomie and I'm able to keep the house, which was, back then, I was very happy for that person. So anyway, these are things that can happen in real estate, and please understand the things you can do to avoid these things to happen to you in real estate. Thanks for tuning in to Rolf Hitzer Behind the For Sale Sign. If you don't know by now, you should know. Have sign, will travel. Thank you.